After 26 days, nearly 4 weeks of intense action in the T20 World Cup 2022, we finally have our two finalists. Pakistan and England will clash at the Melbourne cricket ground in what will be a repeat of the 1992 final. Pakistan notched up a clinical win against New Zealand, but England absolutely decimated India and are now in the final. For the first time in this T20 World Cup, we are going to see another team join the West Indies in becoming two-time champions. But there is a massive problem for both the teams heading into Melbourne, and that is the weather. Yes, the weather for the final at the Melbourne cricket ground is not looking good at all. According to the Melbourne Meteorological Department, 80% rain threat on the final day, that is November 13th. To make matters even worse, 90% chances of rain are there even on the reserve day. So you could see a possibility where England and Pakistan might have to share the T20 World Cup trophy. Now, the weather report has said that there could be 24 to 25 millimeters of rain and severe flooding alert has been issued. But the only disclaimer that I can give is the weather in Melbourne can change. There were doomsday predictions even for the India versus Pakistan encounter on October 23rd. Luckily the weather stayed away, and because of that, India versus Pakistan match turned out to be an absolute classic at the Melbourne cricket ground. Will the rain gods stay away for this crunch T20 World Cup final? The ICC will certainly be hoping that that's the case. Now remember, the playing conditions in the final will change. At the start, in the league stages, they said you need minimum 5 overs in the second innings to constitute a game. But in the final, it changes to minimum of 10 overs needed for a match. So if a team plays 10 overs, only then there will be a match. Otherwise, game can be resumed on the reserve day. That is why the provision is there in both the semi-final and the final that there will be reserve days. However, on the day of the final, at the start in the league stages, 1 hour allowance was given. After that, overs could start reducing. However, in the final, only 30 minutes extra time will be given. And after 30 minutes, every 6 minutes, 1 over will be lost. So, there is allowance in time for the final so that it can be done within the broadcasting timeline. But if the rain is persistent and it doesn't allow you to finish the game on Sunday, what are the dynamics then on Monday? Supposing on Sunday, November 13th, the toss happens, but the rain is so persistent that you cannot get a game in. Then on Monday, the reserve day, if the weather is fine, it will be a 20 over game. Whoever has won the toss and whatever they decide to do, it will begin from that point in time. On reserve day, there is this caveat that if there is rain, overs will start to reduce only after 2 hours. So, if the start time is 1:30 p.m. IST, overs will start reducing only after 3:30 p.m. IST. That is the biggest advantage that will have. The ICC has made sure that come whatever may, if the elements are in their favor, they will try to complete the game. If game starts but not completed on Sunday, then it will resume on the reserve day at that point which stopped. So supposing England in the 10 over mark, if England had won the toss and chosen to bat, they are after 10 overs 60 for no loss. Then if the rain comes and it's washed out, then it will resume on Monday with England at 10 overs 60 for no loss. That is the provision given in that. Now assuming if the rain continues to fall and already you had overs shortened for the previous day, then and only then 2 hours later, supposing it's a 10 over game, 2 hours later the overs will start reducing. The 2 extra hours on the reserve day will be beneficial if it's a full 20 over game. So come whatever may, the ICC will be desperate to ensure that the weather changes for the better in Melbourne. But if you have to look at the broader picture when it comes to the ICC World T20 in Melbourne, it's been an absolute disaster for the venue. 3 games were abandoned in Melbourne: New Zealand versus Afghanistan, England versus Australia, and Ireland versus Afghanistan. The England versus Australia abandonment ensured that England stood with a chance. Ireland's washout against Afghanistan ensured that whatever were the gains that they made against England, that got eliminated. The England versus Ireland game, which Ireland won by 5 runs, that was impacted by rain, and since then no games took place. If no play on both the days, if the rain is so persistent that you cannot have any kind of action on both the days, the trophy will be shared. And rather than one team joining the West Indies as 2-time champions, you may have England and Pakistan join them as 2-time champions. But it will rather be an empty feeling, considering the fact that because of the elements, one team couldn't outright win the trophy. So remember, Melbourne, yet again the playing conditions. On the final day, November 13th, Sunday, only 30 minutes of extra allowance is given. After that, overs will start reducing if the rain comes. But on the reserve day, even if it is still raining, the ICC and every team will have to wait 2 hours. After that, the overs will start to reduce. But this will not be the first time that an ICC event has been impacted in the final or in the semi-final. Remember the 2002 ICC Champions Trophy, India versus Sri Lanka in Colombo? Both the days, rain happened and India and Sri Lanka had to share the trophy. At that time, the playing conditions were very, very problematic. It said if the game is abandoned on the first day, a new game will start on the reserve day, which was foolish considering that the Colombo weather on both days had predicted rain in the evening, and it turned out to be true. The 2019 World Cup semi-final, who can forget that 2-day international between India and New Zealand? On the reserve day, New Zealand had managed to reach a particular score, but then the rain came and no play could start. On the reserve day, New Zealand reached 239, and as we saw, India fell short by 18 runs. 2013, India versus England, the final of the Champions Trophy in Edgbaston. It was that ICC event which forced them to wake up, because under the normal playing conditions, the game would have been abandoned and India and England were to once again share the trophy. The ICC decided to add an extra 1 hour to wait. Luckily, the rain relented. It became a 20-over game and India won by 5 runs. And MS Dhoni became the first skipper in history to win all 3 ICC events. So Melbourne is not having the best of the weather at this point in time. We were lucky that the rain stayed away for India versus Pakistan so that we could see a classic. But for England versus Pakistan, they really have to ensure that the rain stays away, because for all the exploits of Pakistan and England, 2 teams who are on the brink, but they have managed to reach the final through magnificent displays, one team really does deserve the trophy. We hope that the rain stays away in Melbourne and that we can have a full game without any interruptions. But if the rain is persistent over 2 days, the trophy will be shared. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates from sports today. Press the like, comment and share button. We are also there on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thank you.